And I was grateful, but also slightly offended.
Today, I'm here with Heather Drayzen. We're in her studio. She's going to give us a nice little tour of it. Behind us are some works that are at varying levels of doneness, some finished, some in process. Heather, is there anything you want to start with?
Sure. We'll start with this one. This is a self-portrait. Could be done. I'm thinking about it. I like to sit with things for a little bit. Currently thinking of a title. It's a self-portrait, so 39 in parentheses LA. This image came from a mix of things, but one of them was like my first trip to LA. And right before it, my mom had sent me a bunch of these beauty, like gold beauty eye masks, and I was grateful, but also slightly offended. I thought it would be a great thing to use in a painting. And this one's sort of the sequel to a painting that I made last year where there was a prism light or a rainbow over my eye. So thinking about my work as being time-based and about my life, I thought, okay, that was 38. Now let me do one about 39. You've got the eye masks, thinking about like the last year of my 30s, aging, and just about time in general. And the light and like the feeling of warmth in Los Angeles was really inspiring and something I wanted to capture. I wanted this to kind of be like bare bones with like wet hair, sort of revealing like a rawness and with a very direct gaze. And then in the studio, I've got these prisms in my window, and so they hit the canvas on this wall in certain spots. And I wasn't initially even going to put a rainbow near the face, but then one hit right there. And in the last painting, there was a rainbow there. So I thought, okay, this is like showing light shifting and time shifting and aging and all of that in one.
When you finish a work or say, okay, I'm ready to finish a work, are there questions you're asking yourself as you're looking at it?
I think it's just a lot of quiet sitting. Like I'll sit in this chair back against that wall and look and think about feelings. Like, of course, there's like the formal is like, is my eye moving around? Am I getting stuck anywhere? But more, it's just an unnameable feeling of completeness. Sorry, it's at a loss of words for it. But I'll send it to people. I will text this to like one of my best friends, JD Rainbow, and be like, "What do you think? Do you think it's done?" Like, we'll talk. This one I feel has an emotion or feeling that comes from it. I feel like it's unified in when I'm looking at it. And this, right now my eye is stuck in this area of light.
Was the original image from this very dark? Was it at night? Is there some reason that you chose such a deep palette?
I wanted to push, thinking of these in space together, I wanted to push the dark and light. So that when you have something so dark, the things that are lighter really stand out.
Do you feel this show that's coming up is really, you're pushing yourself farther than ever?
I'm always trying to push. I would say like nudging forward, right? Okay. You don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwaters. And then this is in progress. So the very last step I want to do it. Sarah's also a mom, about to be 3 kids. And so she laid her head down. She was so tired, but there was a huge chunk of Play-Doh in front of her. So that's going to be like, that's the one thing I know for sure I'm going to do at the end is really squeeze out some neon orange to make that Play-Doh, and I'm excited about it.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
You've got so many lovely tchotchkes over here. Do you have a favorite at the moment or of all time?
So I don't know that it is all time, but this mug that says "Damn, I'm Good" was my uncle's, my Uncle Wilson, from my childhood. He long since passed, but I took this from the house, and sometimes you'll pick up, so I like that.
Do you ever, when you're having a bad painting day, remind yourself of?
Yeah.
Damn, I'm good?
Yeah, exactly.
And you've got a nice message here. Is this from Josh?
Yeah, this is from Josh. So, I did my first residency in Vermont Studio Center, and I was nervous. It was like going away to camp. I didn't know anybody else, and he was dropping me off. And so he helped me set up my studio, and he left me this note. And then my studio flooded, actually. But the note survived, so it came back.
Lovely.
Yeah.
You have a lot of images surrounding it. This is your mother right here?
Yeah, that's my mom and me.
And you're at a petting zoo?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought to paint this image, or have you?
I've thought about it, but I don't know that I could. I've tried painting from pictures from the past, not this one. But for some reason it doesn't work as well as something that's very current and in the moment.
And down here we have your paints. You have a lot. Is there a way that you organize these paints?
Loosely. So kind of like there's things stacked on top, but you've got your blues and greens, your purples, your yellows. I try to stay like organized a little bit like that so I know where things are. These are more neutrals. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then below it, we have a crap ton of Kurt the Makeup wipes. And I don't think of you as someone who's like doing drag all the time and wearing a bunch of makeup. So what do the makeup wipes do for you in your practice?
I don't know if I'm going to get a sponsorship, but this is really great for getting paint off your hands quickly, but also I wipe a lot with the paintings. For example, like with this rainbow, it seems very faded, but this was painted maybe like 4 or 5 layers, but then I'll like wipe it back if it's too strong, you know. Okay. Or like this was painted very thickly, and then I just wanted a memory of it, so I did a quick wipe, that sort of thing. I was just noticing when I came in here and I was mentioning it to Luke, our cinematographer, how I love how every artist, they have a fridge or freezer. This is a freezer. Yeah. I have to make sure it's a freezer for the oil paint. Has the handle is the color of or the medium that they work in. Yeah. So yours is obviously this beautiful neon. And these are the palettes that fit in it. Yes. Did you buy these palette trays specifically because like measuring and making sure? So I measured wrong. So I can't have lids on them, so I have this foil situation. Someday I'll level up to a bigger freezer to accommodate these, but I was supposed to be able, yes, I measured, but they're just a few centimeters too big with the lids on them. So it's not just that they go in the freezer, you also have to cover them. Yeah. And the freezer slowly dries out faster. Okay. So this is mostly fresh from the tube. This is not mixed necessarily, so these are your blues, greens, it's loosely organized, violets, whites, reds, and oranges. And then on this palette, these are all mixed. And so this is, for me, my portrait colors, you've got your green, gray, some warm pinky reds, some violet, gray, and then a mix of other colors. And I'll mix these based on things that I know I'm going to be making, and sometimes I'll just mix colors where I'm like, let me try to add some new things in. Is this from New Mexico or the? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Because I spent a lot of my childhood in New Mexico, so I love. You went to White Sands, right? Yes. Yeah, White Sands is the best place ever. Are you gonna paint any White Sands paintings? I actually did. I didn't like it. Okay. So it's not necessarily gonna happen, but I may actually go back and retry it again. Okay. So. Yeah. And these little paintings back here, these are studies. Or? Yeah, for funsies. This was I've injured my hand and I was painting left-handed for a while, so this was my first attempt. And then this was going to be, for me and Josh, 2 moths. So, yeah. We talked earlier about your hog's hair brushes, which that's like pig hair or like? I think so, yeah. Okay. And I think they're synthetic versions of hog hair, but I like this. I have, you've got, this is more synthetic, so this is soft, right? This is not hog hair, so this can give you a very smooth effect. And with these, the paint just sits up on the surface more. Okay. So if I wanted to do something really soft, actually like this little move in the background, I painted it and then I just dragged it up. And so I can do something subtle like that. So would you say you have a favorite brush? This one over here. This big one? Yeah. Okay. My friend Jim brought this to me from Tokyo. It's from Pigment and it's all hog hair brushes. We've been through a lot together, as you can tell. But it's really fun to use, especially in base layers and for big moves. Yeah. So you have your easel here, and I was just wondering, what is a typical day look like, or a couple hours of painting look like for you? Okay. I'll come in, I'll put on some music. Usually it's something that I find relaxing, like kind of get into a trance-like state. So Elliott Smith or Cat Power are good go-tos because I've known them for so long. Beach House I really like. Occasionally I'll feel like, okay, I need to like have a friend, so I'll put on a podcast like Pep Talks or something. And so you're listening to something and your reference is on your computer. Do you ever, is it always like the image out, or are you zooming in a bunch? Zooming in a bunch. Okay. And a lot of your references are on iPhone photos? Or? Yeah, well, I'll edit them. So then they'll be on my computer. Awesome. These paintings behind us, what of them are new? These are all new from the last few months. Okay. Yeah. Except for the pups who are in the corner there. Yes, and that's when they're puppies, right? Like one-ish. One-ish? Yeah. Okay. And these are not done, or any of these done? I think this one I'm calling done for now. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Lovely. I just love the way you attack hair.
because it's so hard, and you have such a good gestural way in mark making for hair.
Thank you. I think it's fun to paint. So.
Yeah. Oh, your window. I'm really in love with the way that you've curated this window.
Okay.
So you've got some lovely baby plants. You've got these things. I want to hear about these prisms, because we talked about them a lot and the rainbows that they create.
Yeah. I first got the idea to hang prisms when I was reading a blog post by Aubrey Leventhal, who wrote about the artist Winifred Nicholson, who painted prismatic light for many years of her life. And she would carry these prisms in her pocket, and I just thought that was the coolest thing. So first I just hung them because I wanted to have prisms in my studio, but then I started realizing that they were hitting the paintings. So I was like, why don't I make this like another level to the work? Mm-hmm. And since I love painting light, obviously like this is a direction to go in. So when they hit the canvas, I'll make choices about which ones I'm going to paint in.
Well, thank you so much for the studio tour. Thank you for allowing us in your home and your workspace today.
Sure.
Thank you everyone for joining us, and I'll see you next time.